And we're going to continue with the third chapter of A Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court. Our hero has discovered that he is the prisoner of Sir Kay, even though it was really Lancelot that found him because they switched armor, as in the story that was related to us a couple of chapters ago. And Sir Kay is very confused by all of this, and he is now going to address the round table. Every eye was fastened with severe inquiry upon Sir Kay, but he was equal to the occasion. He got up and played his hand like a major, and took every trick. He said he would state the case exactly according to the facts. He would tell the simple, straightforward tale without comment of his own. "And then," said he, "if ye find glory and honour, do ye, we'll give it unto him who is the mightiest man of his hands that ever bare shield or strake with sword in the ranks of Christian battle, even him that sitteth there." And he pointed to Sir Launcelot. "Ah, he fetched them. It was a rattling good stroke." Then he went on and told how Sir Launcelot, seeking adventures some brief time gone by, killed 7 giants at one sweep of his sword, and set 142 captive maidens free, and then went further, still seeking adventures, and found him, Sir Kay, fighting a desperate fight against 9 foreign knights, and straightway took the battle solely into his own hands, and conquered the 9, and that night Sir Launcelot rode quietly, and dressed him in Sir Kay's armour, and took Sir Kay's horse, and gat him away into distant lands, and vanquished 16 knights in one pitched battle, and 34 in another, and all these and the former 9 he made swear that about Whitsuntide they would ride to Arthur's court, and yield them to Queen Guinevere's hands as captives of Sir Kay the Seneschal, spoil of his knightly prowess. And how here were these half-dozen, and the rest would be along as soon as they might be healed of their disparate wounds. Well, it was touching to see the Queen blush and smile, and look embarrassed, and happy, and fling furtive glances at Sir Launcelot that would have got him shot in Arkansas to a dead certainty. Everybody praised the valor and magnanimity of Sir Launcelot, and as for me, I was perfectly amazed that one man all by himself should have been able to beat down and capture such battalions of practised fighters. I said as much to Clarence, but this mocking featherhead only said, "Ah, Sir Kay had had time to get another skin of sour wine into him. You see, the accompt doubled." I looked at the boy in sorrow, and as I looked I saw a cloud of deep despondency settle upon his countenance. I followed the direction of his eye, and saw that a very old and white-bearded man, clothed in a flowing black gown, had risen and was standing at the table upon unsteady legs, and feebly swaying his ancient head and surveying the company with his watery, wandering eye. The same suffering look that was in the page's face was observable in all the faces around, the look of dumb creatures who know they must endure and make no moan. "Marry, we shall have it again," sighed the boy. "The same old weary tale he hath told 1,000 times, in the same words, and that he will tell till he dieth, every time he hath gotten his barrel full, and feeleth his exaggeration mill a-working. Would I had died or I saw this day. Who is it?" "Merlin, the mighty liar and magician. Perdition singe him for the weariness he worketh with his one tale. But that men fear him, for that he hath the storms and the lightning, and all the devils that be in hell at his beck and call. They would have dug his entrails out these many years ago to get at that tale and squelch it. He telleth it always in the third person, making believe he is too modest to glorify himself. Maledictions light upon him, misfortune be his dole. Good friend, prithee, call me for evensong." The boy nestled himself upon my shoulder and pretended to go to sleep. The boy nestled himself upon my shoulder and pretended to go to sleep. The old man began his tale, and presently the lad was asleep in reality. So also were the dogs, and the court, and the lackeys, and the flies, and of men-at-arms, and the files of men-at-arms. The droning voice droned on, a soft snoring arose on all sides, and supported it like a deep and subdued accompaniment of wind instruments. Some heads were bowed upon folded arms, some lay back upon open mouths that issued unconscious music. The flies buzzed and bit unmolested, the rats swarmed softly out of 100 holes and pattered about and made themselves at home everywhere, and one of them sat up like a squirrel on the king's head and held a bit of cheese in its hands and nibbled it and dribbled the crumbs in the king's face. With naive and impudent irreverence, it was a tranquil scene, and restful to the weary eye and jaded spirit. This was the old man's tale. He said, "Right so the king and Merlin departed, and went to an hermit that was a good man and a great leech. So the hermit searched all the wounds, and gave him good salve. So the king was there 3 days, and then were his wounds well amended, that he might ride and go, and so departed. And as they rode, Arthur said, I have no sword. No matter, said Merlin, hereby a sword that shall be yours, and I may. So they rode till they came to a lake, the which was of fair water and broad, and in the midst of the lake Arthur was ware of an arm clothed in white satin, that held a fair sword in that hand. Lo, said Merlin, yonder is the sword that I spake of. With that they saw a damsel going upon the lake. What damsel is that? Said Arthur. That is the lady of the lake, said Merlin, and within that lake is a rock, and therein as fair a place as any on earth, and richly beseen. And this damsel will come to you anon, and then speak ye fair to her, that she will give you that sword. Anon withal came the damsel unto Arthur, and saluted him, and he her again. Damsel, said Arthur, what sword is that yonder arm holdeth above the water? I would it were mine, for I have no sword. Sir Arthur King, said the damsel, that sword is mine, and if ye will give me a gift when I ask you, ye shall have it. By my faith, said Arthur, I will give you what gift you will ask. Well, said the damsel, go ye into yonder barge, and row yourself to the sword. Take it in the scabbard with you, and I will ask my gift when I see my time. So Sir Arthur and Merlin alight, and tied their horses to 2 trees, and so they went into the ship. And when they came to, the sword that the hand held, Sir Arthur took it up by the handles, and took it with him, and the arm and the hand went under the water. And so they came unto the land, and rode forth. And then Sir Arthur saw a rich pavilion. What signeth yonder pavilion? It is the knight's pavilion, said Merlin, that he fought with last, Sir Pellinore, but he is out. He is not there. He hath ado with a knight of yours, that hight Eglaine, and they have fought together, but at last Eglaine fled, and else he had been dead, and he hath chased him even to Caerleon. We shall meet with him anon in the highway. That is well said, said Arthur. Now I have a sword, now I will wage battle with him, and be avenged on him. Sir, ye shall not so, said Merlin, for the knight is weary of fighting and chasing, so that ye shall have no worship to have ado with him. Also he will not lightly be matched of one knight living, and therefore it is my counsel, let him pass. For he shall do you good service in short time, and his sons after his days. Also ye shall see that day in short space. Ye shall be right glad to give him your sister to wed. When I see him, I will do as ye advise me, said Arthur. Then Sir Arthur looked at the sword, and liked it passing well. Whether liketh you better, said Merlin, the sword or the scabbard? Me liketh better the sword, said Arthur. Ye are more unwise, said Merlin, for the scabbard is worth 10 of the sword, and while ye have the scabbard upon you, ye never shall lose no blood. Be ye never so sore wounded, therefore keep well the scabbard always with you. They rode into Caerleon, and by the way they met with Sir Pellinore, but Merlin had done such a craft that Pellinore saw not Arthur, and he passed by without any words. I marvel, said Arthur, that the knight would not speak, Sir, said Merlin, he saw you not. For an he had seen you, ye had not lightly departed. So they came unto Carlion, wherefore his knights were passing glad. And when they heard of his adventures, they marvelled that he would jeopard his person so alone. But all men of worship said it was merry to be under such a chieftain that would put his person in adventure, as other poor knights did. And that is the end of chapter 3.